Okay, so welcome everybody. This is the Conservation Commission's meeting for Wednesday, November 15th. It is now 7:04. Calling this meeting to order, we have members present: Bob Shabbat, Jackie Kulig, Patty Phillips, Nora Jones, and myself, Kathy Demers. I'd like to see if we can get a motion to seat Nora. Was that you, Bob? I saw your lips moving.
So moved.
Okay, somebody want to second that?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstained? So moved. Thanks. Okay, can I hear somebody make a motion to approve minutes from October 18th, please?
So moved.
Thanks, Bob.
I'll second.
Thanks, Jackie. Okay, all in, any discussion, any changes? Okay. Everyone in agreement, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Thank you. Okay, so under present to speak, what I had done, Steve Jones is here and Austin Harmon, but I'm going to ask them to speak under new business. Is there anybody else here to speak? I don't see any other people online. So, okay. Treasurer's report. Carol, as I said, was not coming tonight. There's been no new expenditures from our budget, except for use of ARPA 27 funds. We had purchased some materials for the park workday to work on the trails, and we received some materials from O.L. Willard's. The cost was $342.55. They usually give us a little bit of a discount, like 5% if the town pays it within so many days. So that's going to come out of ARPA 27. New business, Willington Public Library. Steve Jones Ozier, and he's just told me he's going to be changing his name to Ozier. So wanted to introduce him and ask him to talk a little bit about the summer reading program and his interest in having us collaborate on some programs and events. Welcome, Steve.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Kathy, for the introduction. So my name is Steve Ozier. I'm the programmer for the Willington Public Library. I was hired, actually, I started out as a volunteer last year, getting my master's in library and information sciences. And this past spring, I served as an intern as a part of the program. And Deb and Hope, if you know them, loved having me there and wanted to keep me as much as possible. So once my internship hours were up, they offered me a job to work part-time, gradually picking up more hours as other responsibilities have come off. So I'll be there. I'm usually there Thursday evenings and Saturdays all day. I should be there in December, working Tuesday nights as well for a few hours throughout the week. But so I'm here tonight because next year's summer reading program theme is Read, Renew, and Repeat. So we're using what's called iRead. It's utilized by the state of Connecticut and several other states. And so it's designed for all ages. Our summer reading program will feature the idea of conservation. Conservation as a movement focuses on protecting species from extinction, maintaining and restoring habitats, enhancing ecosystem services, and protecting biological diversity. So the program is a wonderfully diversified summer reading program that encourages reading as a restorative method for self-improvement and self-preservation. So they usually have a couple of feature authors and artists that promote books, but they also have sent out, and the Willington Library received files of all the various activities and programs that we can do as associated with the theme. And knowing that it was about conservation, and as an aside, I personally serve as a co-steward with my father on a trail in Tolland. I felt it would be apt to sync up with you all and see what we could do together and just get that initial touch base to plan and coordinate. So that was the gist of it. And I know actually and also there's another aside is that Nora did one of our story times in October, and their deep wildlife display is located in the children's craft room with a bunch of labels, and they did a really great job. So I think one of the ideas for the summer reading program would be bringing folks in to do story times that are themed around it. So it could be members of the Conservation Commission or other individuals in the town that have supported conservation efforts. Other ideas might be we have a story walk that we've revamped. There's actually a hiking themed story up there this year, and we'll probably put in a new story next year. So any suggestions from you all for a children's story that's relatively short and good for kids and families to walk along that path would be good, and any other ideas. So that's pretty much all I have prepared for tonight for now.
Okay, great. Do folks have some ideas or thoughts about what the commission might be able to do in terms of working together with those types of themes?
I was just gonna say about, there's a local author from Mansfield that did, I'm trying to look up the story, but she did, Pass the Energy and A Drop of Water, I think it is. And she came into our school, and did a read aloud and talked about how she came about writing the books about water and then the food chains. So that she might be a good resource. I'm just looking to see if I can find it. The author, she's in Mansfield and she is lovely. What's a cat around the world?
No, that's great. I'll write their names and the title down, or at least the titles down, and keep that in mind.
Maybe if you find it, Nora, you can shoot it over to Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will do.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other thoughts or ideas? I know in the past we've done some things at the park. Steve, were you looking to do this at the library itself?
So that's where I probably have to touch base with Hope and Deb just to make sure there's no liability or any issues. But I had considered whether or not we could do some kind of special story time. Usually they're at 10 or 11 a.m. Maybe host a special one at like Fenton Ruby or one of the areas where there's a small trail. Could do like a story time and then encourage people to, as long as the weather permits, to do a short hike afterwards. And then, the kids can earn usually with the summer reading program, the way we ran it this past year is they kind of filled out a sheet and they'd either get minutes or check marks for completing books to earn raffle drawing tickets. And some of those ways to earn were through completing activities or attending events. So if they attended the event at the end, they can get a little check mark and earn themselves a ticket to earn a prize. So
Okay, great.
Hey,
yeah, that was
Kath,
Yeah, go
Hey,
ahead.
Kat.
Bob.
how about utilizing the pollinator pathway garden down at the park?
Mhm. Yeah, we have a garden that the Girl Scouts put in at the park. There's also some at the schools.
Right.
And I'm not sure, you guys have gardens outside of the library. Do you know if they're pollinator friendly?
That I do not know. I'd have to double check with most likely Debbie. I believe she's done a lot of work with the landscaping and has a person in town that's helped with a lot of the mulching.
Okay, because that's a big, push right now is
Yeah.
educating people about how to protect pollinators against neonicotinoids and things like that. And I'm sure there's lots of stories that, for young people that we could touch on that might kind of emphasize that. And then you could bring kids out even on the library grounds and point out some pollinators that are just on the flowers,
Okay.
and maybe have some lists of pollinator friendly plants, that people could think about planting, could even buy some seeds and have them available, to give out to the kids. So annuals. So that's just another thought. There's also a person that does raptor rehabilitation out from Ashford. I forget her first name, but it's Horizon Wings is the rehabilitation center, and she will come out and do programs at libraries and so on. She can't do anything outdoors anymore because there's a bird flu type thing that's going around, and she can't hold these events outside where some of her captive birds would be exposed to wild birds. So, but I know that there is a cost for that program, but it might be something we could share the cost of it, because we do have some budget funds. We could co-sponsor it. And, if you have any other presenters that you might have to give them some kind of a fee, we can think about co-sharing that cost.
No, that'd be great. I actually have reached out to it's like I'm pulling up my email right now. Mary Beth Kaiser, if
Kaiser?
I'm getting there, yeah, Kaiser.
Yep.
So actually, we're tentatively going to have them booked for either the 13th or 20th of July for the summer reading. I have to still go over, but it's definitely within budget. Usually we reach out to the friends for support, but if there's an opportunity to work with the Conservation Commission, that would also be phenomenal. I'm just double checking just so you're aware of the cost in case there's any like, if it's cost prohibitive. I mean, usually we reach out to the friends, but it looks like the total is 275 for the program we're going to do, which is on threatened and endangered species.
Yeah. Well, could certainly be something if you want to bring it up in the spring to us, give us a month or two so we can put it on our agenda and vote on it. That'd be great.
There's another, I don't know, it's like a possum rescue.
Hmm.
And they were supposed to come to our school, but my principal freaked out. So, but she rescues the possums, and that might be a nice thing for a small group. I think the presenter was a little worried about large groups, but because the possums get fatigued. But I can try to find that number for you too, Steve.
Yeah.
That might be something else to.
Yeah, that'll be good. And we were also looking at possibly I had another program. It's actually, I think, out of Manchester, there's a reptile group that again, nothing's ever cheap, especially when you're dealing with animals. I think it was around $400 for it. But they seemed relatively apt and friendly to work with, and they had a good reputation. So they're local, and they do like an hour-long program. They do like a 10-minute presentation, and then they usually do they make the bulk of it. The kids interact with the animals and learn and can ask questions. So
That's great. And I'm not sure if the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection has any resource staff available. They're so busy and short staff, but they do have wildlife specialists, and it's something you could always reach out to, or we could work with you and see if we could get in touch with somebody and what the availability might be for them to come out and talk about bears or large mammals, things like that they often do presentations about. So are these some of the kinds of things you're thinking about, Steve, that might be helpful?
yeah, no, absolutely. That's all excellent. And there's also usually with every story time there's a craft. So if it's something that's at the library, the iReads website actually has, I'm seeing if I can find it. They had a craft that's actually a do-it-yourself butterfly houses. So that might be something we might set up as a small in-person program that kids can do. So we'll encourage families to come, and they can, kind of in relation to the pollinators, along with bees, the butterflies are also something that's in danger in Connecticut, and trying to foster habitats for them. So having the houses, as well as, I like the idea of doing the seed promotion, trying to get some local pollinator seed kits. So maybe if Deep or another resource has those can be a part of our welcome summer reading packets that they get, as like, they usually get a free bookmark. They get their, either a free book or another little toy, and then they get their information about doing the program. So no, that's great.
Okay.
I think that the Mansfield Library has some sort of seed bank or seed sharing program, and I believe they usually have tons, so they might be able to
Okay.
help us out with some pollinator-friendly seeds.
Yeah, there's a regional pollinator group, and trying to remember the woman from Mansfield that is been chairing some of those meetings. They're online as well. If I can get that information, I will get it to you, Steve.
Okay.
So, okay.
And yeah, we actually just also got, I forget if I mentioned it So yeah, iRead usually gives a pretty comprehensive programming guide and activities guide. So that just came out a couple days ago and got distributed to all the libraries that are signed up. So as I go through it, probably over the winter and spring, I'll probably try and check off ones that are reasonable, or try and make a diverse set of programs that are both all age friendly, some that are more kid friendly to teen level, and try and diversify. But no, if you guys ever need a copy of it or have any interest, I can also pass that along for any ideas if you guys are looking for family programs to promote conservation. I certainly can pass that along.
Yeah, no, that would be great. We would welcome that.
Okay.
Any other thoughts? Jackie, just from the agricultural side of things, soils and things like that, conservation of, native plants. Is there anything you can think of that might be helpful?
Yeah. Not at the moment, but I'll definitely think about it some more. Yeah, nothing comes to mind at the moment.
Okay, great. Or forestry too, those kinds of things. So great. All right. All right, Steve, we'll stay in touch. Maybe we can check back with you in January or February. You're welcome.
Yeah.
And we can, at any point, just let me know and we'll get you back in on the agenda.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming tonight.
No problem. Have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you. Good night. All right, moving on to next new business item, Wilford Farms, potential timber harvest by Hull Forest Products, and Austin Harmon from Hull is here. He's their forester, and he had contacted me to discuss their interest in doing a timber harvest on the conservation easement area that's on the Wilford Farms property. Hi, Steve. Bye, Steve. Hi, Austin.
Oh, hello. Sorry if I missed anything. I just had to run away for a couple minutes to get my dog. She was barking up a storm outside.
Oh, no, perfect timing.
But yeah, so we are planning to conduct a timber harvest on property of Wilford Farms LLC in Willington. They own property right off of 74, which is Tolland Turnpike, which also goes south to the end of Meadow Lane, which that's when we did the harvest before, we had a timber harvest there 10 years ago, which previously was a management harvest. So we removed roughly the worst 30 to 40% of the volume of trees overall their property. But I'm not sure about the conservation easement since I was not with the company then. I'm not too sure the background of it since it was so long ago. There were some details for the harvest on the conservation easement before, but not very much in our files at least. But I believe I sent everything I had over to Kathy for you folks to at least have on record and take a look at as well.
Yeah, I do have that available for screen sharing if you want. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great.
Okay, let's see what I can do here. So you had sent me 4 documents. Can you all still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And is this file coming up on your screen?
Yep.
Okay. So Austin, just pipe right up if I'm not saying this correctly. Let me see if I can. This was the past map that was used when Hull went before planning and zoning and then the wetlands. Is that correct?
This is correct. Yeah. So as you see to the very, well, more or less the northwest area there, that kind of yellow polygon area, that is the conservation easement. That map there is obviously just a reference. That's not any sort of survey or boundary map. It's just a reference map for the timber harvest itself. But we also do have copies of a survey where they did survey out the lines and find the azimuths as well as distances for the lines of the easement beforehand. So my plan obviously was, before we do anything, first and foremost, I'll go and flag off the perimeter of the conservation easement area itself. And then depending how you folks feel, I can either flag the wetlands or, roughly the wetland perimeter, as well as the stream banks and such like that, that run through the area of the property there. Yeah, so let's see.
This was the other one that you sent. Let me just flip this around so it's easier for people to see.
Yeah. Yeah, so that map is essentially a cut and paste of the last map.
Mhm.
There is one small change. They did lose a little bit of acreage that they subdivided and sold against Meadow Lane since the last harvest in 2014. What else was there? I added in a couple more stream crossings. By the way, this map is not a final product yet.
Yep.
This is just what I have currently at the moment. I still need to go out at some point because there are a handful of crossings and I don't have a great reference as to their exact locations besides looking at the map. So I'd like to head out to the property and drop a GPS coordinate for the crossings themselves so I can accurately map them all once I fully get the operation ready and ready to present to the Wetlands Commission and such. This is just a general purpose outlining the harvest. So as you can see by the conservation easement, there's a stream that starts on the landowner's property, but then runs into the wetland on the conservation easement. And there's also a smaller wetland to the northwest of that. That wetland is more of a vernal pool. I haven't seen it besides this year, but from looking at it, it seems that it holds water throughout the year. There's no inlets or outlets, so it seems like it's just a big vernal pool, which is obviously a habitat that we want to create a buffer around and care for properly, not to trespass with that much at all. So the prescription we're writing for most of the property from the last harvest is we're cutting most of the trees above 20 to 22 inches. The reason we're doing that is because since the last harvest, a lot of natural regeneration has dropped and is plentiful and throughout most of the property, specifically for oak, seedlings and saplings growing in. So for oak in particular, as well as other species, they need a lot of sunlight once they're at that age. If you do not open them up and they don't have the sunlight available, they're just going to become shaded in and they won't be able to work their way properly into the forest canopy to actually compete and grow into a bigger and better tree. So like I said, more or less, that's the prescription. Obviously, there are going to be trees above 20 and 22 inches in diameter that will be left, but that's the overall prescription. However, that does not mean that's what we're going to do for a proposed harvest on the conservation easement area. That's why I'm here to talk with you folks and as well get the opinion of, I understand there's a forester on the payroll or something along those lines.
Oh, she's a commission member.
Oh, she is. Okay.
Yeah, we pay her with good compliments.
I gotcha. Nice, nice,
Yes.
nice. But yeah, so that's what I'm here is to present at least my thoughts and understandings. We got permission from planning and zoning, I believe Kathy said it was 10 years ago, to actually use the crossing of the stream right next to the conservation easement, and as well as put skid trails through and conduct a light harvest. I'm here just to see what we can't work around this time and go from there.
Okay, couple other things before I open it up to questions. Let me just open this up. I had sent this out to all of you. This is basically, again, the yellow in here is the Wilford property. This was just my interpretation approximately of where those boundaries would be for the conservation easement. But I also wanted members to note that the Wilford property is adjacent to two properties that the town owns as open space right here. And this is Meadow Lane. Can you all see my cursor?
No,
No, you don't see it? Okay, I'm sorry. You,
Yep,
some
I
do?
do.
Okay, here's my cursor. Can you see that? Maybe Bob, you're looking on a small screen?
I'm enlarging. I can see it now.
Okay, great. So this is Meadow Lane. This would be one of the access points, and where some of the timber, there's a landing in this area and it would come through this road, which I believe is just kind of a gravel road at this point, and onto town property. So the Board of Selectmen would probably have to review and give permission for this temporary right of way again, which they did during the last harvest. So I just wanted you to make sure everybody kind of knew where this was in perspective to other town properties. You know, this is the Ashford border. So this is really in more the southeast area of Willington. Does anybody have questions about this particular map? Okay, so I'm going to go back to the map from Austin. And just really quickly, the other documents that I sent to you, these are all, I'm just flipping it around in the correct orientation here. So this is more of a close-up from the last time that the harvest was done. This was the final, as I understood it, the final plan on the easement, approximately where the wetland was here at least. I don't see the one over here on this particular map. But again, this was an old map, so whatever Hull would bring forward to inland wetlands and to the Planning and Zoning Commission, I'm sure would be updated. Would that be true, Austin?
Yes, correct. Like I said, the only reason I don't have any sort of final preset and ready to go map to send to everybody is obviously because I need permission from Planning and Zoning and Conservation Commission to get advisory capacity as well as what we are allowed to do in the conservation area, because that very well could shift our skid trails, that could move the wetland stream crossing area there, as you see. So I just need to have everything squared away with you folks as well as planning and zoning regarding the conservation easement portion of the harvest before I can send the whole project over to wetlands
Okay.
and get the entire project approved from there. But so everything will be updated at some point. But right now we're just going off of a fairly updated draft plan.
Okay. As far as you know at this point, are there boundary markers on the easement?
I have not marked any corners or lines of the easement yet. So for the entire western and southern boundary, it's actually the property line, which has been marked out. There's a timber harvest going on right now. There's a timber harvest going on right now to the south of this property.
Okay.
I forget the landowner's name, but there is a timber harvest being conducted at some point there.
Okay.
Not by us, but another company.
My understanding from reading the conservation easement document that was originally written back in 2013 was that these boundaries themselves were supposed to be marked with some kind of boundary markers. There should be pins at the corner. That was part of the easement document. So I was just wondering if you knew if those were in place for the easement area. But
yes. So I found, it all depends how updated some of these plans are. I have also seen maps where, it said they're going to put in a drill hole or an iron pin. They never quite did, or possibly somebody moved it. I've seen evidence tampering. I found most of these iron pins as well as drill holes and corners. I rewalked them myself just to confirm that. So the boundaries have been found accurately. The only area where we haven't quite been able to find, I'm in touch with the landowner to figure it out, is actually not against the conservation easement, but this little jogged out piece to the kind of northeast, this jogged out piece that an abutter owns that heads almost to the conservation easement area of the property.
okay, so where would that be?
So you see the north landing?
Right here?
Yeah, see the abutting property that our landowner doesn't own just to the west?
Oh, to the west, okay.
Yeah, see that stretch right there? Right.
Oh, so this
So-
part here,
Yep, so that's not even against the conservation easement, but
Yeah.
I do have to figure those out. I am in touch with the landowner to get that squared away. I just have to figure that out in the field at some point shortly.
okay, all right. Do other folks have questions for Austin? Or,
Uh,
go
I
ahead.
Well, I wanted to mention, so reading the easement document, it looks like what's allowed on the property is thinning and pruning with permission from the town. And the harvest that you're proposing of a diameter limit harvest wouldn't typically be considered a thinning. So that's my main concern, but definitely want to walk the property and see what your thoughts are. Let's see. So you haven't marked anything on the on any of the property yet, or just
So we marked trees to be removed throughout most of the landowner's solely owned property, so the area without the conservation easement. We have not marked any trees in that area yet, obviously, because I didn't want to go with just any sort of assumption and then
Yeah.
be told it needs to be tweaked and changed and then just back and forth work over stuff that's already been done. So most of the property has been marked to the prescription that me and the landowner want to follow for the rest of the property. And as I said, I'm more than willing to tweak the prescription, obviously, for the conservation easement area. That's the whole point of why I'm submitting this and going with you folks. I just want to get everyone's thoughts. So it also depends on goals for the town conservation easement area property. So there are some hay fields nearby, as you see from the map. There is a stretch of wetlands and some streams going throughout. There is some young growth there, but not very big patches of it. There possibly could be an area that's a great candidate for woodcock habitat, especially. So it really depends on how the town conservation commission and the town itself want to conduct conservation and future planning for their town-owned properties as well as the easements they have. I did notice there is a fair amount of ash trees on certain parts of the easement. As I'm sure most of you know, the ash trees are at an imminent threat from the emerald ash borer. It kills 99%, 99.9 whatever percent of the ash trees native to our area. So those ash, if they're not already dead, they will be very shortly, as it already is throughout most of this area of the state. I did see a few other declining trees, oaks that were damaged from the spongy moth back in 2017 and 18, still living but not thriving. Other declining trees that have just declined due to natural factors such as tree competition and such like that. So yeah, those are generally my thoughts. My thoughts would be more or less of a management harvest that we did the first time around on the property, removing roughly 20 to 30 or so percent of the worst volume of trees, going by unhealthy trees, poorly formed, diseased trees, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be in line with what's called for in the easement, a little better than your prescription for the rest of the property.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the easement also calls out, removal of dead trees in addition to the thinning and pruning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that sounds like it would all fall within what's allowed in the easement, at least.
Yeah, definitely. Sure.
Again, I just want to add, though, the leaving some snags is very good for wildlife habitat. And so we'd want to, obviously we're going to want to walk out there first and take a look at things before we make a recommendation, because that's what our job is, to make recommendations to inland wetlands as well as planning and zoning. But I think, as Jackie said, getting out on the property itself would be very helpful to look at the easement area and, what the last harvest, how things look since then, what's the invasive plants out there looking like at this point where the wetland boundaries are.
Sure.
That would be helpful.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said, I'm willing to tweak, any of your folks' thoughts and ideas into the prescription. So leaving some dead snags, that's very well fine by me. Obviously, when we do a timber harvest, we try in our best effort to leave every tree that we see has some sort of clear den that's being used by animals or possibly any other wildlife. If I see a bee's nest up at a tree, I can tell it's not old and falling apart. I try to leave that tree. Birds nest in trees, etc. So I try my best to leave the native and natural wildlife habitat that's already present. And it's definitely important to try promoting that in the future, such as the dead ash and some of the other declining trees could be left or possibly girdled to advance their decay rate and turn them into wildlife for woodpeckers and other saprophilic insects and wildlife species. So yeah, that's definitely something we can and are able to do. But that's something I'd like to kind of get your thoughts of while we're taking that site walk. Where would be a good spot to implement that? Here's possibly a good example of a tree. My only slight concern with that is I noticed to the very northwest boundary, right behind the apartment complex there, they did have some trails going into the woods. I didn't exactly follow them the entire way. I just noticed them from doing the boundary lines.
Hmm.
So my only concern would be if their walking trails did go on the conservation easement portion of the property, leaving certain dead snags, especially near the edge of a walking trail, regardless if they're supposed to be there or not be there, definitely could be a safety concern.
Is the land posted right now?
I don't believe it is. Yeah, I haven't seen much of any. If they are posted signs, they're old ones.
Do you know
I,
if
I
any
wouldn't say it's what's the word?
obvious?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I wouldn't say it's obvious, but there are some posted signs on the property.
Is hunting, do you know if the property owner currently allows hunting on the property?
Yes, the property owner, I forget how many folks. I want to say he has up to half a dozen or so folks hunting, not necessarily at the same time, but just in
Mhm.
general. And when I spoke with him, all he asked me was that if we end up doing any sort of field work, we just try to stay out of there from mid-November. Opening day of rifle season in Connecticut was actually today. So today, pretty much until mid-December, until rifle season closes. And if I do go there, just to give them some sort of advance notice, just so they're aware, and we don't obviously rain on anyone's parade if they're trying to have a good time and they have a party of 10 folks or so come walking through the woods. It's not always the best thing to see when you're trying to be peaceful in the forest. But yeah, so I can definitely speak with them depending on when we'd like to do a site walk. Make sure he's okay with it. He can make anyone who may or may not be out there aware. It would obviously just be our mission to wear orange and stick pretty much to a quick in and out. My thoughts would be meeting at either the south landing at Meadow Lane or the north landing on the landowner's property. The north landing has more parking area, depending on how many cars and vehicles were going. Meadow Lane does have a certain parking area. I'm sure the town wouldn't mind you folks parking on their gravel access road, so that definitely would open up things. And then from there, we can just walk one of the skid trails in. We would be able to walk some of the perimeter of the easement, as well as the edges and such of the wetlands, the streams, check out species composition, regeneration rates, native shrubs coming in, as well as invasive threats and possibilities, wildlife potential, and then kind of share thoughts and ideas from there. But we just obviously wouldn't want to walk through the entire property in case somebody is hunting.
Sure, that makes good sense. And we could figure out the details of that once we've got a date.
Yeah, definitely.
One other quick question. What do you generally like to do with the tops? Are you planning anything specific for tops on the property?
So when we drop a tree, we try to harvest and salvage as much as we can that's usable for saw logs and firewood.
Mhm.
We're trying to leave most of the softwood in this harvest because there's not much softwood present on the site to begin with.
Mhm.
So trying to inspire more of that would be great for wildlife habitat, specifically deer hunting, which the landowner wants to promote. So most of what we're taking is going to be saw logs and firewood, and everything else that won't be able to be taken would be left on site at a height no higher than 3 feet in height. Obviously, any main skid trails, I'm going to ask them to try to leave them as open as we could, as that could be another great recreation option if people are allowed on there. I'm not too exact sure to if folks are or aren't able to walk on a conservation easement that's on private property. I'm not sure about that aspect of it, but we
That's
would
it.
try to leave it
This
open for somebody's recreation at
This
least.
easement, I believe, does not allow public access unless the landowner is allowing it.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions from members?
Just one. I think with the logging of the easement, should probably try to make the same crossing of the stream as they did last time.
And certainly, if we do a site walk, we can look at all those areas. That's good, comment, Bob.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, if you folks would like, I can definitely have, the perimeter of the easement flagged, as well as at least the approximate perimeter of the wetlands, really where the exact perimeter of a wetland lies, obviously can't be 100% told without a soil scientist there to deem it himself. But I can at least do how I would judge it in the field, and we can go from there. But if you'd like that done, I just need to know, and I obviously a time and date we're planning for, so I can know to get it done before then.
Okay, that I think commission members, I know I would appreciate that being done before we get out there.
Yeah, I would say at least the easement boundary, maybe the
Yeah.
wetland boundary, we can probably see more clearly. But
Okay. Anything else?
Mm,
I know that got somebody, I hear somebody, Bob.
No, I guess I'm just thinking about the first time and the last time we went out. The west side of that large wetland is, as I recall, it's really bony. I mean, like ledge coming out of the ground.
Mhm.
So, I'm just talking to myself, kind of, I guess. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to have that easement area flagged. Last time, I think we were walking around pretty blind.
Okay, that'd be great. All right, so Austin, I know I had checked in with at least Jackie, because I think Jackie Kulig is the forester on our commission, and she's probably the key person that needs to be at this site walk. So her availability would be around the 28th or the 29th of this month. Would that work for you, one of those dates?
Yeah, the 28th or 29th, so it'd be a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Yeah, that definitely should work for me.
Okay.
Are there any specific times a day we're trying to plan for? I should be available throughout the whole day, anytime from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. or so.
Mhm.
But
I
yeah,
think
Tuesday I'm pretty open all day. I think that Wednesday in the morning was better than the afternoon.
okay. All right. And where would you folks want to meet? Just so obviously I'm gonna contact a landowner, make him aware and such, and plan ahead with it coming next week. Well, next week I'll talk and plan it with them for the following week when we do the site walk. But I just need to know which landing we would try to meet at.
I was thinking Meadow Lane because of the town's open space that's next to it.
Yeah.
I believe I'd like to see if we can also, after we're done walking with you, Austin, we would probably go over and take a look at what's going on over at those town properties. So if we could meet at Meadow Lane, that I think would be better. And as far as parking, I can get permission from the selectmen to just park on that road.
Yep. Yeah, there is it's not necessarily a gate, it's more or less of a steel cable somebody put over the road there. I didn't check if there's any sort of lock. Obviously, I haven't entered that way with my truck, but we've just been parking at the cul-de-sac. But there should be plenty of space to at least park a few vehicles before that gate area.
Okay, and I will take care of sending out a letter to abutters just to let them know that, the town's going to be doing a site walk on our town property.
Okay.
I think that gives them a heads up if they see a bunch of cars there as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
That sounds good.
So if we're going to do it on the 28th, would we want to start in the morning? Would we want to say 9 o'clock, something like that, or?
You tell me.
Okay, Jackie?
Yeah, and any time in the morning works for me.
Okay, all right. Are there other people from the commission that would be interested in coming on the walk? Because if we have more than 4 people, which would be a quorum, I'd have to notice this as a official site walk. Otherwise, if it's 3 or less, I believe we can get away with it just being kind of like a little subcommittee going out to report back.
I'm unavailable that day.
Oh, okay. Anybody else?
If it's on a Tuesday, I would love to go.
Okay, so that would be 3 of us out there. Nori, I imagine you'll be working. I'll tell you what, let me just do this. I'm just gonna notice it as a site walk. Because that way, if Marilyn or Carol for some reason wanted to join us, you know, we would have, because if we have a quorum out there, we have to notice it as a site walk. All right, so
Sense.
what's that?
That makes sense.
Okay. All right, see if there's anything else about that we need to think about. All right, so I'm gonna post it as a site walk for Tuesday, November 28th at 9 a.m., meeting at the end of Meadow Lane. And Austin will be in touch. If it's bad weather on that Tuesday, maybe we can also say rain date, November 29th. Same time.
Yeah, that would be fine with me.
Okay, just in case the weather's really bad and we can talk maybe the day before.
Yeah, definitely. And if you wouldn't mind, Kathy, if you could just send me an email at some point, some point this week or next week, just so I have it somewhere officially on the record.
Yeah.
Just as also as a reminder to myself, but
Okay, what I can do is send you a copy of the site walk notice. Is
yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
okay? All right. All right. Any other questions, concerns before we let Austin go? He's on vacation, so.
Well, we don't want to keep them then.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Austin, for your willingness to come and sending all that material ahead of time.
No problem. Thank you, everyone. We'll be in touch soon.
Okay. Take
Bye.
care. All right. So let's see. All right. Moving on. Sorry, I was jotting some notes down, guys. Sorry. Willington Public Library raffle basket fundraiser.
Hmm.
You guys have sent some ideas, really good thinking cap ideas. Nora had sent a list of some potential books. Oh, well, first of all, what I should ask is, do people think that we should do this? I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a good idea,
Yeah, yeah.
especially if we're going to try to partner with the library on other activities.
Yep. It's a nice way to kind of put some things together that people can look at, when they're deciding on if they're going to put their money in a raffle basket. It gives us a little bit of being noted as participating in these things too, because I'm sure they're going to be advertising who the donors are and such. So that's a good thing. I did talk to Carol and Marilyn because they couldn't be here. They were both for doing a raffle basket, and Carol had some thoughts about, how much money maybe to spend. Her thought was maybe up to $100 for items that we would have to purchase.
Yeah.
How does that number sound in general? Okay.
Acceptable.
Okay.
I think I've just seen the raffle baskets in the past for that event, and I don't know that folks spend quite that much, but
Okay.
I think that would be generous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we can say something like up to 100 if we're going to vote on how much we can use from our budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nori had I sent this list out, unfortunately, pretty late today. I apologize. I forgot to send it out. Did everybody have a chance to look over some of the books that was on Nora's Amazon list? Most of them are little field guides about helping people identify different types of insects and animals, rocks, wildflowers, trees, scat. And she also had the Connecticut Walk Book, Complete Guide to Connecticut's Blue Blaze Hiking Trails, which is kind of a nice thing since we have Blue Blaze trails on our properties. So that was probably the most expensive of the books, huh, Nora? That one was like $24.
Right.
Yeah. So do people want to have various things in a basket, or do you want to have like more of a theme, like more of these types of nature guides and some other little things? Bob, you had mentioned in your email, things like a water bottle, bandana, trail mix, hat, socks, things that you would use if you were out, hiking. Marilyn had also mentioned to me things like eco-friendly products. For example, instead of plastic bags, like the paper snack bags, things you could get like at Willie Co-op, eco-friendly dishwasher powder, wool dryer balls, some of those types of items that help people to be more green types of products. So.
Good luck trying to find wool dryer balls right now.
Oh, really? What happened?
Wool is expensive. Wool is expensive, and there's not any clean wool available. So we've been looking for a while.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
That's what we use in our dryer.
Well, those sheep are getting to be quite endangered, huh?
Well, I guess nobody wants to card the wool, or it's carded, but it's not washed well. So there's a lot of stuff in the wool, and for dryer balls, it has to be really clean. It has to be washed and really clean.
Wow. Well, so which way do you guys feel like we should go on this?
I like all the ideas.
Yeah, really. That's true.
Definitely some books included because for the library, but maybe add a few other things in from all the categories.
Okay. Nora, I know you had mentioned in your email to me that you might be willing to kind of take this on as a project. Are you still available?
I don't know a lot about the eco-friendly stuff from Willie Co-op.
Oh.
I don't usually go down there, but if you give me a list of those things, I could do that and then kind of pick and choose some of the books.
Okay. Yeah, certainly.
And up to $100.
Yeah, we can vote on that. We
Okay.
can make a motion and then vote on it. That way you can be reimbursed. Once you would purchase things, just save your receipts and then we'll get them to Carol. She'll get them to finance office, and then they'll send you a check in the mail if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they won't pay for the tax. So if you pay, you're going to have to, if you went down to Willie Co-op, we might be able to get you a tax-free certificate from the finance office. So you have a tax-free number to use, but I'm not so sure about Amazon. I don't know if the town has.
I know
an account.
Probably not, right? I can't use Amazon at school. I don't know.
Yeah, well, what's happened in the past, because some of us have purchased things to use, for the commission. And then when we send in the receipt, they'll pay you for everything except for the tax. So the tax, if you were willing to do that, if you're not willing to do that, I can order the books and I'll be willing to not get paid back for the tax, but the town will not reimburse us for the tax.
Okay. I mean, the shipping will be free from Amazon.
Yeah.
Are some of those things that I could get on Amazon too? I've never shopped the eco-friendly stuff on Amazon, but I would be maybe.
Yeah, there might be products. Yeah, I would imagine that's a possibility. We could send you a kind of a list of ideas and you could look and see and pick and choose. And
Okay, because if it was one big purchase, then I could just get a basket and wrap it up, and
okay.
that would be easiest right now.
Yeah. And I do have a couple of big plastic bags that are for those kinds of gift baskets. I'd be willing to give you.
And I might have some of those too.
Okay.
Let me just check on Amazon too.
Okay.
Check.
And I'll find out from the finance office if for some reason they have an account with Amazon. And, if we can do it on their account, or there's some way to use their tax-free number if they've done that, if they purchased things through Amazon for the school or somebody, has used it.
Okay.
I'll check it.
So it was household, eco-friendly household items, and what was the third one? The books, and then what was the third idea?
Bob had talked about things like water bottle, bandana. I think you sent an email, right, Bob?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did.
Yeah. Trail mix, things you would use when you were going out hiking,
Okay.
hats, socks. Carol mentioned too, putting some brochures from our trails. So like some from the Fenton Ruby Park and then some from the trails over at Knowlton, like just folding up our trail guides.
Okay. Hey, okay, so yeah, I sent Mark up there to get some of he couldn't find them in the file cabinet, so I have to go back up there and see if I can find the trail guides.
Okay.
But Carol did email me about that. That's another topic, but
Okay.
okay.
All right. Yep. Any other thoughts or ideas? Go ahead.
December 1st, right?
It's due to the library by December 1st.
Okay.
And I have to go online and just let them know we're going to be doing this. So I'll sign us up to tell them that, I'll say that you'll be, dropping the basket off at some point.
Okay.
So
Great.
does everybody want to use a basket? Or I had told Kathy, I have a stack of old sap buckets that I had gotten from New Hampshire from the 60s. And if I can pound one of them apart, they're pretty good size. They're a little scuffy. I mean, they spent years out in the woods on the sides of trees. But when the guys were up there were changing over to pipelines, they jettisoned all the metal buckets. And a friend up there grabbed me some, and I've doled them out over the years. I still have about a dozen or so. So, I mean, Kathy's been bugging me about getting her a picture. They're kind of rusty, and I mean, they're not gross. I just thought it'd be kind of cool to have, instead of going out and buying a basket, what do you do with a basket after you get, after you use a basket for that, it kind of kicks around or whatever. I just kind of thought it would be kind of a kick if we could use one of the old sap buckets. We can pad the bottom, put some padding in the bottom of it so it brings stuff up off the bottom. And Christine just stuffed some things in front of me. She has something here from the airline trail.
Yeah.
And then the Last Green Valley.
Perfect. Yeah.
So, I mean, we have those here, and those are available. And she has one of these things about exploring the Last Green Valley.
Nice.
So, I mean,
Another thought with the sap bucket in mind is we could get some local maple syrup and get one of the tree guides that Nora had. I think there was a tree guide on her list. And
Yeah.
just have more of like a tree theme, and have the trail guides and maybe something
nothing wrong with trees, right, Jackie?
else.
Yeah, we can, and maybe again,
Tree
depending on
theme.
how much
Put it all
space
in a
you
sap
need.
bucket. I didn't hear.
I was going to say, just take some little, some pine cones and stuff, kind of throw them in. That's kind of a holiday theme, and it's a tree theme, and yeah. I have, if you need any other stuff like ribbons and things like that, just to kind of gussy it up for holidays, I've got stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got a bunch too. So.
Okay. Great. All right. Good brainstorm. It sounds like fun. Can't wait to see what you come up with. So we've got to vote though on the money. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we allocate up to $100 for items for a gift basket for the library fundraiser.
Okay, do I have a second? Is that Jackie?
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Abstained? So moved. Thank you. Okay. Under new business, I had just left another category open as other. Does anybody have any other new business that they want to bring up or put on the agenda? Okay, carrying on, we'll go to old business, Fenton Ruby Park, Drobny Sanctuary, stewards report and maintenance. Just wanted to make mention that Chris and I did get out on the Ruby Trail and we repainted the blazes because we noticed that they were kind of lacking and some of the trees that had blazes had fallen. And we also cleared trees on the trail, so that's been done. Fenton Ruby Park Workday, we had 21 volunteers come out, including 4 of our commission members, Bob, Marilyn, Nora, and myself, plus Mark and Chris. Tessa Gustowski was there, Pam Wheeler, and Ken Fluitt, Len Pepin from Troop 82 came out with 5 scouts, and Connie Bedan and 3 of the Girl Scouts came out along with a friend of theirs. So we had quite a nice crew out there. We were able to get Taylor Pond Trail brushed out, particularly over at the very end of the pond, where the trail kind of does a half loop around that small little meadow that's now like early successional. I think it's kind of gone beyond our ability to keep it as a meadow at this point. We may just have to thin things in there and take out any invasives over time. Also, we got several boardwalks repaired. One was on the Taylor Pond Trail and 2 were on the Ruby Trail. So that got accomplished during workday. It was a good day. We had beautiful weather. Any other comments from those that were there? Okay. And did Patty left us?
Yeah, she did.
Did she say she was leaving?
I just noticed on the screen that she left.
Yeah, okay, maybe she had to bow out. Next one, Knowlton Preserve Talmadge Conservation Track. I haven't heard any reports from our stewards out there, no concerns. In the parking lot, Chris was able to finish the kiosk signage and that's been all put up. I sent an email with some photos to you. And since we had the kiosk up, he added a trail map box on one of the posts. So now we don't have to keep the maps inside the register box. There's a sign-in box there too. And then we also got the permanent trail map signs that Jackie had made for us. We had, as you remember, we paid to have those done on the aluminum instead of the ones that were out there, the paper ones. And so those all got put up as well at the trailhead. So it's, I think we pretty much checked off the boxes for that area right now. I think perhaps next year we might want to work a little bit more on the Split Rock Trail area. There's a bridge that probably needs to be put in there around about the halfway through the trail, down by where you can literally see the adjacent landowner's property, where there's an old walking trail in there, and it's kind of wet, stays wet most of the year. So we might have to put just some kind of a walking boardwalk across that. And also there's some invasives around the area. That was the old Christmas tree farm. So those would be some projects for next year. Any other thoughts on the properties anybody has? The chestnut trees were looking pretty good when we were out there. The pollinator garden actually pretty nice too. So okay, town development, anybody have anything to report?
No, it's been slow in that department. So.
Okay. All right. And collaborative organization, news and communication. Nothing from me. Does anybody have anything from any other organizations they want to share? Did anybody get out to the pollinator conference that was at UConn by any chance? No? Okay.
No.
All right. And pollinator pathway initiatives, I don't have any other news from the organizations. Open space opportunities, Burma Road. Last time we met, I did let you know that the first selectman was going to talk to the town attorney about how we might work with abutting property owners to get a right of way on the old Lustig Road that was discontinued. And I queried her again and I haven't heard anything back. So I'm not sure things will be resolved until after we have some new selectmen. Since I think next Monday is their last Board of Selectmen meeting before new people are installed the following day. And we're gonna have a whole new crew of selectmen, so it should be interesting. It's gonna be probably a little bit slow to start up. They're gonna all have to get on board. Plus the administrative assistant in the Board of Selectmen's office, Karen Cody, she's taking the human resources position now. So they are going to try to fill that position. So that's going to take some time as well. So a lot of shuffling happening in government here. Any other open space opportunities that anybody's aware of or?
No.
Okay. All right. Willington Wire, Marilyn had said last time she'd work on a submission that's due in December, and I believe she was going to work on something about beavers. And under membership, Bob, Marilyn, and I are up for our term expires on 12/1. So
Phew.
So I have to ask you, Bob, you gonna hang in there with us for another 3 years? At least a year?
Yeah, life just wouldn't be the same without the Conservation Commission.
Hey, all right. And I had asked Marilyn and she said she would hang in with us too. So, and I'm willing to do it because I have such a great group of people. So I'll let the selectmen's office know that so they can reappoint us in December. 20.
The new ones may choose not to.
Yeah, well, that's why we got to get it in for next week. They'll reappoint us on when they're going out. So, 2024 schedule. Does everybody, or I should ask, does anybody have any suggestions on changing the day that we meet, or does the third Wednesday of each month still work well for most people?
It works for me.
It works for me. It's just back-to-back meetings. I have a 2-hour staff meeting on Wednesdays and then, so it's kind of rushed, but it's good to get it all done in one night. So I'm
Okay.
good for that.
Okay. Jackie, is it still working okay for you?
Yep, still good with me.
Okay, great. All right. So our next meeting will be December 20th. Bring the eggnog and good cheer. And can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Yes, you may.
Okay, and second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thanks, Nora.
Jackie, you can go ahead.
Okay, so we're adjourning at 8:12. All right, thank you, guys.
You
So,
betcha.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
we'll see
Happy
you, some
Thanksgiving.
of you at the walk.
You too.
All right, take care.